10, 9, 8. The air is thick with anticipation. Hot, dry wind whistles through a narrow mountain pass. Dust and the distant sea ride the gusts. The year is 480 BC, the stage is set. Thermopylae, the hot gates, two worlds are about to collide. Not just a battle, a fulcrum in Western destiny. Immense courage born of overwhelming desperation. The tale is brief, the few days, yet it echoes through millennia. Sacrifice duty, the will to remain free. Stakes could not be higher. Two towering figures stand at the heart of it. From the east, Xerxes, great king. His empire spans lands and continents. His army is vast. Opposing him, Leonidas, Spartan king. Sparta, discipline and an unyielding warrior ethos. The Persian threat was not a sudden squall, but a hurricane that had been building for years. Xerxes, son of Darius the Great, inherited not only a vast empire, but his father's unfinished business with the Greeks. A decade earlier, the Athenians had shockingly defeated a Persian expeditionary force at Marathon. Xerxes was determined to succeed where his father had failed to crush Greek resistance once and for all. He assembled an army of staggering proportions: Medes, Scythians, Indians, Egyptians. Ancient sources like Herodotus suggest millions. Modern scholars give more conservative estimates, perhaps around 200,000 soldiers supported by a fleet of over 1,000 ships. This was a mobile nation, a logistical marvel. Xerxes' engineers built a pontoon bridge across the Hellespont, the strait between Asia and Europe, letting his land forces walk into Greece. The message was clear: resistance was futile. The earth itself would bend to the will of the great king. Faced with the existential threat of Persian subjugation, the Greek city-states were deeply divided. They were not a unified nation, but a loose collection of fiercely independent and often warring polities. However, the sheer scale of Xerxes' invasion forced a reluctant and fragile alliance. In 481 BC, representatives met at the Isthmus of Corinth. They formed the Hellenic League. The alliance, though incomplete, was crucial. Sparta was granted command of the allied forces. Athens would lead the fight at sea. The decision to fight was not made lightly. The Greeks were acutely aware of the disparity in numbers. They could not meet the Persians in an open field battle. They had to leverage terrain and their style of warfare. The Greek hope rested on the hoplite phalanx, heavily armored infantrymen, the aspis, the large round shield, the dory, the long spear, the xiphos, the short sword, shields overlapping, fighting shoulder to shoulder, a solid wall of bronze and wood, hard to break. King Leonidas was chosen to lead the vanguard. His selection was significant. He embodied courage, discipline, devotion to the state. He consulted the oracle at Delphi. The prophecy: Sparta would be destroyed, or it would lose a king. Leonidas, already in his 60s with sons, accepted the fate. He picked 300 Spartans who had male heirs, so no family line would be extinguished. They were joined by several thousand allies: Thespians, Thebans, Phocians, total defenders, who 7,000 men. Their mission was not to win decisively. Their objective: block the Persian advance at a choke point. Buy time for the army and the Athenian navy to prepare. A line drawn in the sand. Greece would not fall without a fight. The choice of Thermopylae as the point of defense was a stroke of strategic genius. The name itself, meaning hot gates, referred to the hot sulfur springs in the area. In 480 BC, the geography of the pass was dramatically different from today. The coastline was much closer to the mountains, creating an incredibly narrow bottleneck. Any land army moving south had to pass here. In its tightest sections, the pass was only a few dozen meters wide, caught between the impassable cliffs of the Kallidromo Range and the marshy shoreline of the Malian Gulf. Perfect terrain for a defensive stand. The geography acted as a great equalizer, neutralizing numerical superiority. Only a fraction could engage, envelopment and flanking stymied. The Persians were forced head-on into hoplite spears, Leonidas's meat grinder. The Greeks utilized an old Phocian wall, rebuilt in haste. Behind this stone barrier, they would stand and fight. Simple but effective. Fight in rotation, relieving the exhausted to sustain effectiveness. Spartans formed the core, inspiring allies to hold with resolve. Terrain mastery was the cornerstone of Hellenic defense. While the army held the pass, the Athenian-led navy held the Straits of Artemisium. Each protected the other, a desperate, sophisticated gambit to halt the juggernaut. For 2 full days, the Greek strategy worked to perfection. Xerxes waited, expecting them to flee. When they did not, he sent the first wave. Medes, Scythians. Bring them in chains. They crashed against the wall of shields and spears like a wave breaking against a cliff. Packed tightly, the hoplites held, their long spears forming a lethal hedge. The fighting was brutal and relentless. The phalanx's cohesion outmatched the less organized Persian formations, each man guarded by his neighbor's shield, moving and striking as one. They feigned retreat, luring pursuers into disorder, then turned and slaughtered them in chaos. The pass choked with dead, the ground grew slick with blood. Persian losses were immense, yet more troops came. In fury, Xerxes committed the immortals, a hand-picked corps, their ranks instantly replenished. Even they could not break the line. They too died on Spartan spears, their numbers meaningless in the choke. By day's end, Greeks held against odds. Persian morale faltered, Greek confidence soared. The plan worked. The delay was achieved. But as the sun set on the second day, a shadow fell, a betrayal that would seal their fate. The turning point would come from behind. The turning point came not from the front, but from behind. Ephialtes offered Xerxes the hidden Anapeia path. A mountain track would emerge behind the Greeks. This was the fear. Guided by Ephialtes, the immortals marched through the night, silent under oaks. At dawn, they surprised the Phocian guards. Caught off guard, they retreated to a hilltop, failing to warn Leonidas. The rear lay open. Encirclement was imminent. The mission, delay, achieved. To fight on with all would be pointless sacrifice. Leonidas ordered the retreat, but a rear guard must stay. He chose to stay with his 300, joined by Thespians and Thebans. They advanced into the wider pass to sell their lives dearly. Spears broke, short swords flashed with stunning ferocity. Leonidas fell. A vicious struggle raged over him. Surrounded, they stood on a hillock, overwhelmed by a storm of arrows, fighting to the last. Tactically, a Persian victory. The path south opened. Cities sacked, Athens burned. Xerxes paid dearly, yet advanced. Yet the delay was crucial. The story spread, stiffening Greek resolve. Salamis crippled the Persian fleet. Xerxes withdrew. Plataea finished it. Thermopylae the moral foundation. In the immediate aftermath, the Battle of Thermopylae was an undeniable Persian victory. The pass was cleared, the Greek force annihilated, the road south open. From a tactical view, total defeat. Xerxes paid heavily. Herodotus claims 20,000, yet for such a host, acceptable losses. Bodies lay where they fell, a testament to war's brutal reality. But strategic and moral impact outweighed tactics. 3 days' delay proved crucial. The Navy regrouped. Civilians escaped. The story spread like wildfire, stiffening resolve. The sacrifice inspired a nation. Persians were not invincible. Greeks would die for freedom. The alliance galvanized. Weeks later, Salamis crippled the Persian fleet. Xerxes withdrew. Plataea sealed the fate. Thermopylae was the moral prelude to victory, a cornerstone of Western culture, a timeless symbol of courage against impossible odds. The story was immortalized by Simonides. Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie. This message has echoed through ages: duty, sacrifice, patriotism. Even in defeat, defiance can change history. Some principles are worth dying for. A stand for freedom is never in vain.